Welcome back, everyone. It's good to see you here. As we saw and understood a detailed description of the IELTS listening section, this lesson we're going to look at the different question types that you can face in the IELTS listening exam. Let's begin. The IELTS listening section has 10 different question types, which will be spread across 40 questions. And just to quickly recap, the first two parts deal with situations set in everyday social context. Part 1 is a conversation between two speakers, Part 2 is a monologue, and the final two parts deal with situations set in educational and training contexts. Part 3 is a conversation between two main speakers or more, and Part 4, there's a monologue on an academic subject. It's really important to practice each question type so that you know what you can expect during the exam. All right, let's begin with the first question type, which is multiple choice. In the IELTS listening section, there are two types of multiple choice questions. The first type is where you might have to pick multiple correct answers. You can refer to the image on the screen. You will have to listen very carefully in order to hear and understand the gist as well as the answers. Also, it's important to read the instructions carefully to know how many answers you need to select. The other type is where you will only have to choose one correct answer. For this type, you might be completing the sentence in the question or choosing one answer from a number of options. On to the next question type, which is matching question types. The good thing about this question type is that the questions will come in order as you hear them in the audio. Matching assesses the skill of listening for detail and whether a test taker can understand information given in a conversation on an everyday topic, such as the different types of hotel or guest house accommodation. It also assesses the ability to follow a conversation between two people. It may also be used to assess test takers' ability to recognize relationships and connections between facts in a listening text. On to the next question type, which is labeling questions. Here there are three types: plan, map, and diagram labeling. The task here is to complete labels on a plan, for example, a building, a map, for example, a part of a town, or a diagram, for example, a piece of equipment. This type of task assesses the ability to understand, for example, a description of a place and relate this to a visual representation. This may include being able to follow language expressing spatial relationships and directions, for example, straight on, through the far door, etc., etc. For these question types, it's very important to read the instructions and follow them to the T. The instructions will specify how many words you'll need to write. You can have a look as to how these questions will look on the question paper. Let's move on to the next question type, which are completion questions. Here we also have a variety as to how they can appear. Completion questions could come in the form of form completion, note completion, table completion, flowchart completion, and sentence completion. The task here is to fill in the gaps in an outline of a part or of all the listening text. The outline will focus on the main ideas or facts in the text. This could be a form, often used to record factual details such as names, a set of notes, used to summarize any type of information using the layout to show how different items relate to one another, a table, used as a way of summarizing information which relates to clear categories, for example, places, times, pricing, etc. And a flowchart, which is used to summarize a process which has clear stages, with the direction of the process shown by arrows. We're going to look at these in more detail now, starting with form completion. Information that you would have to fill in would include numerical and factual details, which could be names, addresses, and/or telephone numbers. This question type can usually appear in section 1 of the exam. To get a better idea of the format, you can have a look at the example on the screen. Moving on to table completion questions. Table completion questions are gap fill questions that require you to fill in missing words. The table will be made up of columns and rows containing information. You will need to pay close attention to the instructions as again the word count will be given. Also, the answers will come in the same order as in the recording. Next up, note completion. Here you'll be filling in the gaps provided to you whilst listening to the audio. You will have to pay attention to the way letters are pronounced. For example, names of people, streets, etc. Also, speakers will often paraphrase information in the recording or use synonyms, and that's why you should really listen out for the same meaning, not only the same words. On to flowchart completion questions. Here, you'll be filling in missing words from different stages of the chart. These charts will cover various topics and will always have a number of steps with a beginning and ending point. You will usually find this question type in part 3 of the listening section. Next, we have sentence completion. These are a type of gap fill question where you will have to listen to the recording and fill in the missing words in the sentences to complete them. Quite often, it's the ending of the sentence which has to be completed, but you might also have to fill in words within sentences. This question type could appear in any section of the IELTS listening test. We're going to move on to summary completion questions now. Just to recap what summary means, and that is a short, clear description that gives the main facts or ideas about something. For summary completion questions, you will be given a summary of the recording, which would typically be a monologue on an academic subject. There will be words missing from the summary, which you will have to fill in. Usually, this type of question is most likely to come up in section 4, which is the most challenging part of the test. And last but not least, the final question type, short answer questions. This question type comes up regularly in the exam and can appear in any section of the test, but commonly found in section 2. You will have to listen to the recording and write a short answer in each blank space provided. Sometimes, more than one answer will be required, so you have to pay attention to the instructions. And there we have it, the various question types that will appear in the IELTS listening exam. Please be sure to practice doing each of these question types so that you're ready for them when they appear in the exam. Be sure to join me for the next couple of lessons where we'll be going through various IELTS listening skills, starting with understanding accents. Stay tuned!